Hi, it's Billy from Sweetie Darling, and today I'm going to show you how to make my red velvet Valentine's cupcakes. Now I think my red velvet recipe is the easiest red velvet recipe there is. It's literally you chuck every ingredient into the bowl and mix it round and that's it. So for this recipe you need 150 grams of caster sugar, 140 mils of vegetable oil, 200 grams of plain flour, 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 3/4 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 120 mils of buttermilk, 1 egg, about half a teaspoon of concentrated red colouring. I use Sugar Flare Christmas Red, a teaspoon of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of vinegar. And then you literally mix all the ingredients around, make sure they're incorporated, scrape that bowl down to make sure there's no unmixed ingredients lurking at the bottom, and give it another mix just to make sure the whole lot is mixed in. Then you can use an ice cream scoop to transfer this to your cupcake cases. I found rose gold cupcake cases on Amazon and I'll link to those in my blog post, which will be linked to in the information section under this video. Now this mix will make you 12 standard size cupcakes. Because the whole point of this tutorial is red velvet cupcakes, I wanted mine to be domed so you could see red velvet cupcake above the cupcake case. So I've overfilled mine and done 10 cupcakes instead of the full 12. But if you do a scoop per cupcake and then top them up once you've done all 12, you'll have 12 level standard cupcakes. Now I baked mine at 150 degrees Celsius in my fan oven and they took about 30 minutes to cook. You know when a cupcake is baked by when you press it with your finger and the cake springs back. If you press it and it's still squishy and you're leaving finger marks in it, it's not ready, so just leave them in the oven for a few more minutes and then try pressing them again. If they're springing back and not leaving fingerprints, then they're ready. So whilst your cupcakes are baking and cooling, if you've got them out of the oven, you can make the cupcake topping. Now for this I'm using a meringue buttercream, but it's one that doesn't require any cooked sugar, so it's much easier than other meringue buttercreams you might have seen. Now ordinarily with this recipe I use pasteurised egg white, but the pasteurised egg white I had bought had gone out of date, so I use fresh egg white in this instance, but normally it would be pasteurised. So if you're using fresh egg white, you'll want 2 egg whites. If you're using pasteurised, that equates to about 60 mils of pasteurised egg white. Now I whisk this in my stand mixer until it gets a little bit frothy, and then I add 250 grams of icing sugar, and then mix this until all the icing sugar has dissolved. Normally takes a few minutes, but it'll be quite a syrupy consistency once that's happened. And at this stage I add 450 grams of butter and a tablespoon of vanilla. And this now needs beating until it's really light and fluffy and whipped up. So that can be up to 10 minutes, and I prefer at this stage to change from the whisk to the K beater just because I prefer the way it beats. Some people like using a whisk still, so try both and see what you like, but I find the whisk a bit bitty once you put butter in it. It sort of doesn't look as fluffy, I don't think. So I change to the K beater and mix it until it's all nice and whipped up. So once your cupcakes are baked and cooling and your meringue buttercream is made, the only thing left to do is to make your chocolate love toppers. Now for these I've made a template. I have a love swirly font which I've put into Word and copied and pasted over and over and then resized and printed out. I've made it much easier for you by putting that file into my blog post, which again will be linked to in the information section underneath this video, so you can literally download it, make it the size you want to, and then print it out. I then put a sheet of cellophane over this template, and that's what I'll be piping my chocolate onto because it's going to peel away really easily. I've melted some dark chocolate and added that to a piping bag. Now piping chocolate is not a strong point of mine at all. I'm much better with royal icing, something that you have to actively squeeze and control, and the way it moves very slowly. Chocolate is free flowing. It goes a bit too quickly for me. I don't know how to have that much control over it, but I worked it out. So I've left my first couple of attempts in here so you can see where I went wrong with it. Now the first stage I went wrong was I cut far too little off of it. For the reason that chocolate is free flowing, I thought if I cut less off of it I'm going to have more control, but actually I was trying to squeeze the chocolate out so it was moving too quickly and the line was far too thin. It was going to be too fragile when I peeled it away from the cellophane. So that was attempt 1. Attempt 2, I cut a little bit more off the bag. It did go better, but I still felt it was a bit too thin. I was worried it would be too fragile on a cupcake, so I cut even more off, and then this was a better thickness. I thought they'd be more robust at this thickness. Now the secret to piping chocolate I found out is not to squeeze it at all. Just let it flow and guide it over the template, so you don't need to squeeze that piping bag. Literally just hold it and then guide it over the letters as it's flowing out naturally, which it will do because it's melted chocolate. Work your way over the letters, and then when it gets to the end, touch down so that it breaks the chocolate away, and then move that piping bag away because there will be a blob of chocolate waiting to drop on your nice writing. If it's a disaster and it all goes wrong, you can either wipe the cellophane clean or just throw it away and get a new piece of cellophane and start again. Once you have filled your sheet, or you've got enough enough to do your cupcake toppers, you can either leave them to set at room temperature or put them in the fridge or the freezer. I'm impatient. I want to know that they've worked and they've set, so I put mine in the freezer for about 10 minutes and they were completely set. So now you've got your cupcakes baked and cooled, your meringue buttercream made, and your chocolate love toppers made. At this stage I use a plain round nozzle in a piping bag and fill that with buttercream and pipe a plain swirl onto my cupcake. You could do a roughly swirl if you want to, you could just spread a layer of buttercream onto it, whatever topping you prefer you can do. But I've gone for a plain swirl, so I'm just working my way around, squeezing quite generously and working my way around in a circle and then coming in slightly but resting my second circle on the one I've just piped. So you're resting each new layer on the one that you've just piped all the way to the top. And then you stop squeezing before you pull it away so you don't end up with a big peak on top of the swirl. You can then take your chocolate love toppers and place one of those in each cupcake. Now if you like and you don't want to leave them just plain chocolate, you can add dust to the love toppers. So edible dust take really well to chocolate, especially the metallics. If you want more of a rose gold colour, go for a bronze dust. I've gone for more of a gold one here. Kind of wish I'd gone for a bronze though, so everything was rose gold, but hey ho. Now of course if you wanted to, you could do any word on here, just make your own templates on Word or find words online. There's plenty of people who specialise in doing swirly font words that you can download and make your own template from. The principle will stay exactly the same. So that's how to make red velvet Valentine's cupcakes. Don't forget the template, red velvet recipe and meringue buttercream recipe are all in my blog post, which is linked to right underneath this video in the information section. It's literally the section underneath the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a very loving thumbs up and click that subscribe button. There are brand new videos every single Monday. Thank you so much for watching and happy Valentine's. Lots of love and I will see you next week.